two championship contenders giving it everything.
No, Mikey. No, Mikey.
It's lights out.
No, Mikey.
And away we go.
All right, what's going on, F1 fans? Dusty and Gager back with you here. 2 weeks already in the books. Lots to discuss. It looks like Red Bull's got another juggernaut on their hands. We will get into that. But Gager, nice to have racing back. You were actually around the EST offices for practice or qualifying each of the first two races. You're in. It's early. I'm like, what the hell's Gager watching on TV? And I'm like, oh yeah, practice P2, P1. So it's just nice to have it back, isn't it, buddy?
Oh, it's it's great to have it back, but my schedule's all messed up because I'm so used to the Sunday race. Having it on Saturday, it's I don't know. I like the winding of the weekend, Sunday the race, and then just decompressing there. Having the Sunday and no racing was a little bit tough. But what can you say, Dusty? Like you said, Red Bull does look like a juggernaut, and I don't know. The pack seems closer together, though, and Max, there was a point there. Max was so far ahead. It was actually pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
There was
they don't
not
even
another
show him
car
on the broadcast anymore.
Yeah, like they don't, like it's just crazy. But saying that, there was some exciting things that happened in that race.
Well, yeah, no doubt. I mean, and we have the first race that we can kind of dive into as well. We'll take a look at some of your early standings. You are right about the Saturday thing, though. Like, to start the season with back-to-back Saturdays, the first race, when they were doing qualifying on the Friday, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is qualifying happening right now? And then back-to-back Saturdays, we got to get back to that regular Sunday morning, I would think, is preferably on the way. Let's see here. Gator Hockey says, well, I was going to play some Jason Aldean getting dressed for my Monday night hockey group, but I guess I'll stop in for some Pitstop Pal action instead. I like that. Take that, Jason Aldean. Take that. People check out the Pitstop Pals instead. You know, with we haven't even discussed the Red Bull drama yet that's popped up since our first episode of the season. So we'll certainly get into that. I think the one thing that's probably most concerning for the rest of the pack here, Gager, is that Checo's finished second twice. It's like Checo looks like he's got that mini Max mobile where no matter the situation, he's just going to pass everybody as well. Which I think you have to be a little bit concerned about, especially if you're Ferrari, who might be hoping to pick up a couple of double podiums at some point with Leclerc and Sainz.
Well, I mean, Checo's done what they've kind of asked. I don't think there's – maybe he's – because at the beginning of last season, Dusty, there was all this talk of, is Checo going to push Max in that car? And the standings were close, but I really do think with what he's been saying and reading some things, he's really resigned himself to that second seat because there's been so much talk of filling that next year with Ricciardo's name was popping up all winter long as the heir apparent to the second Red Bull seat, right?
So do what you're told, basically, if you're Checo.
Yeah, just be competitive and use the car properly. And what is the Rock? Know your role and shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth. Pretty much. That's what
basically
it is
what's
for Sergio.
Because it's a great car and he's a great driver. Yeah. And maybe he's not as good as in that car as Max is, but saying that he should always get to Q3, put him in a good position where, don't go crazy at that first corner, bide your time, and with proper racing and proper racecraft, he should be able to reel in some of these guys because it just looked like that car is it's a ways ahead of a lot of the other ones.
If you are watching on YouTube tonight and you have any questions, feel free to fire those over. Just taking a look at the final results from Jeddah. Max Verstappen wins. Checo 13 seconds behind him in second for 18 more points. Charles Leclerc 18 seconds back. Piastri 32 seconds back. Fernando Alonso 35 seconds back. George Russell, 39 seconds back. Ollie Behrman, we'll talk about the kid getting an opportunity there, 42 seconds back. Lando in 8th. Lewis Hamilton in 9th. Points for Haas as Hülkenberg finishes 10th in this race. Everybody from Esteban Ocon in 13th down were lapped by Max. Of course, Lance Stroll and Pierre Gasly did not finish Disasters in two different ways for those guys. Gasly basically didn't even get started, and Stroll just bumps the tire right into the wall, out of the race.
Stroll, yeah, extremely disappointing. One of the funniest moments on the helmet cam when the pit wall doesn't even see what's happening. They're just looking at the data, and they're asking him, "Can you pull out?" And he's expletive, "I'm in the wall."
I know.
So it was pretty funny. And even the talk before, Dusty, which is shocking to me, that this team wouldn't re-sign Fernando Alonso to keep going.
Oh.
Like, he's the only shining spark, but
He's all they got, buddy.
he's all they have. Like, and are they? I don't know who goes into that seat, but they need someone that's competitive. And Fernando's shown that he can not only get points, but be like, he took a ton of podiums last year, and he's sniffing around the edges here, and just great racecraft with the defending. But yeah, I wonder who's going to be in that seat, because I don't think it's going to be Fernando. I think Fernando's sniffing around Mercedes, and Mercedes. If I'm Toto, we'll talk about all the stuff surrounding Max.
Yeah.
If I'm Toto, I think I like the fact that, well, George is still kind of a young driver. He's becoming more of a veteran, but having the old guard there, I think is more beneficial for a team than just going with another young guy and a guy that's only been in one of the top teams for a couple seasons.
That would make sense. Do you think Carlos Sainz ends up in Alonso's seat?
If you're
Sainz, that's probably the best car you're going to get, isn't it?
I think, yeah, but I mean, who knows, I think the world revolves around Max and all this controversy, and then it'll be the feeding frenzy and chums in the water for all these seats. Max has kind of hinted that he doesn't want to, well, he's hinted maybe, we'll see how things go, but Dusty, I can't see him leaving that car regardless of what his dad says or Christian Horner says. He just wants to win races, and that gives him the best opportunity to become one of the best race car drivers in Formula One ever. And I'm talking about eclipsing Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton's record of 7.
To stay in that car, right? Like that's why I know, the threats are there, and we know that Formula One can be a little insane at times, but I just don't see a world where Max is like, yeah, okay, even if it's for like, and some of their engineers go with him and they go somewhere else, you're not going to be able to pick up, right? So you're going to waste a year or two of possibly like 15 to 16 bloody wins, man. I don't see how you would do that when you're trying to get into the GOAT conversation. That would not make a lot of sense to me.
No, I think you wait till, like Lewis did, till the wheels are falling off the car, right? Like, there's watching a little bit of the Drive to Survive and how Lewis has talked about Mercedes, and he re-signs in the one episode. Great season, by the way. One of the best Drive to Survive seasons.
Did you finish it yet?
No, I got like 1.5 more to go.
Yeah,
but
I'm about midway through.
If you haven't watched this one, it's really great because it's really behind the scenes of each individual team and showing just the trials and tribulations of the whole season. I think it's fantastic. It's funny because it's not really focused on the racing too much, but everything behind with the principles and things that are going on. I think they hit it out of the park this year for sure.
Jimmy over on YouTube says, is Dusty or Joaquin Max? Well, how it works is this is the only F1 stuff we have because it was given to us by Mobile One, so that's why we wear it for the Pitstop.
Well, it says Aston Martin on there, so it's kind of
Aston Martin. That's a good point. You're right. That's fair enough. All right, Gager. Let's just storylines coming out of Jeddah. I mean, as far as that race goes, Max kind of runs away with it. Checo's right there with him as well. But there was some pretty good racing outside of what Red Bull was able to accomplish.
Unbelievable racing in that middle pack. You mentioned Haas getting points. Nico Hülkenberg with a great performance again. If you're doing F1 fantasy, he's almost a lock to get it to Q3 every time. Dusty, that Haas car seems like it might have actually figured out how to not get that deg on the tires as much as last year. Kevin Magnussen put one of the greatest performances with absolutely crap like penalties that he was receiving, like 20 seconds in penalties, and he gets the Master of Defense award for the weekend. Like how he was able to defend and just be aggressive with the rest of that pack and allowing Hulkenberg to put that distance between and get points. Unbelievable job by K-Mag this weekend. Hopefully he can get a little bit further down in the heat of things and start battling in the point section, because I watched that some helmet cams in there, Dusty, and it was getting real scary how close it was, how wheel to wheel he was with other guys and just not allowing anyone through. Unbelievable job. And it was good to see that the Haas car could actually defend. It was amazing.
TV Burkle in on the Nasty Chat says F1.5 is going to be great this year. Just forget about Red Bull, and the rest is mildly exciting. And if they could somehow bring Red Bull back to that pack, my goodness, I mean, the entire thing would be full of drama, because McLaren and Mercedes look like they're going to be battling, and we'll see what happens, with upgrades throughout the season. Maybe somebody separates themselves. Ferrari, through the first 2 weeks, Gager, seems like they've sort of settled in as that number 2 team for now. We know Ferrari will Ferrari probably at some point, and we'll be shaking our heads with them. But that was another big story from this weekend. I mean, Carlos Sainz cannot race, and Ollie Behrman steps in and picks up a decent number of points, considering you probably weren't expecting that much from him.
No, we've seen rookies come in with full weekends, Dusty, with like going through practice and Q1. This kid got noticed like an hour before Q3, right? Or before, and he goes in and just unbelievable job what he does. Like, and I guess he was getting ready for F2. Like he was on, I think he finished on pole for the F2 for the first time this year, and had to go to F1. So great job on him. I mean, he defended against Lewis for a bit there, to stay in and provide some pretty valuable points in the constructors for Ferrari, right? I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, you still got Leclerc, but you're going to lose some points because your second driver is going to finish outside the top 10 for sure this weekend. And Ollie Behrman, man, he raised some eyes for sure this weekend, and probably a lot of other teams might be considering him if seeing how his progression is, at least in F2 this year. He might find himself in an F1 seat sooner rather than later. 6
points in his first race. How much of that, and I don't know if I was reading into it a little bit too much, but you're Lewis Hamilton. You're watching this dude get in that Ferrari in his first race and finish ahead of you. If you're Lewis Hamilton, am I reading too much into it, being like, put Lewis Hamilton in that Ferrari and see what he's capable of doing? Like, is there too much to read into it? A rookie in his first race having the Ferrari and Lewis in this Mercedes, and they're kind of on a level playing field? That just didn't seem to add up to me.
No, I've read some things, and they already say the Mercedes car is it's just not there, and the woes continue of what this thing can do. Like it had some okay speed in the high speed corners, but you saw when Lewis was battling Lando there at the end and he was closing the gap a little bit on the straights. But as soon as you got into the other sections of the course, the first section of the course, Lando just took off, right? And the Mercedes was just so sluggish. And even Lewis goes, God, this car's slow, man. And for Lewis, you made the right decision. Now he sees the Ferrari car that's a little bit ahead, and he can't catch a 17-year-old. I think that makes Lewis like a little bit happy. I'm pushing like, this thing as hard as I can go. And this kid is he's blowing my doors off right now. So, I think Lewis is really pumped about next year. Can't wait to wear red and get into that car.
What else out of Jeddah, buddy? What else stood out for you?
Um, Oscar Piastri finishing where he
Yeah.
did. Another solid performance. This guy is just he's a young Max, I think, Dusty. Like the way he drives, I said it before, I think he's going to win a race before Lando does. He's just methodical, precision. Hopefully. Zach Brown said, I think there's going to be upgrades like in the middle of the season, kind of like it was last year. So look forward to that. If they can, they made such huge leaps last year with that upgrade that came. They went from like outside the top 10 to podiums basically, right?
Yeah.
So if they can make another jump like that with those two drivers, I could see them challenging more so Ferrari in the constructors than back in the with Aston Martin and Mercedes for sure. They sit 3 now, but that 28 points, 26 Mercedes, 13 Aston Martin. But I see them moving way ahead of some of those other teams.
The Zach Brown McLaren episode of season 6 of Drive to Survive. I'm just into the 5th one, but that's my favorite one so far. I thought that was an excellent episode, man. That guy just intrigues me a lot. I don't know. I got a soft spot for him.
Well, the pressure that was on him,
Yeah.
and then I told you the guys, if you want to do some research on Zach Brown, how he got his start in motor racing, he won Wheel of Fortune as a kid and funded his own karting like team from there. And that's how he got into motorsport. So it was, and there's all these old videos of him playing Wheel of Fortune, just little Zach Brown, and that's how he got it. But what a salesman, man. Like,
yeah,
the fact, like I think McLaren has the most like advertising on the car from any other team. And if you look at some of them, like he's taken some of Carlos Sainz's sponsorships, like personal sponsorships, and there's a couple of other companies that he's gone to. This guy can sell anything to anyone. And the fact that now he has 2 drivers and a car that's competitive, that's exciting. I'm happy for that guy. He's easily likable.
Yeah,
Especially after that episode.
You're right. Especially after that episode when he's sitting there with the sponsors and they're like, listen, we put a lot of money. And he's just like, we believe. I was just like, oh my God, this guy's hanging on by a bloody thread here. But he did it.
Yeah.
Like when they show them finally getting to the podium, you just feel so damn good for the guy in that episode, man. Like it was, it was well done. So the standing so far through the first 2 races, obviously Verstappen at the top, 51 points. Checo's got 36. Charles Leclerc right now with 28. George Russell has 18. I mean, considering what we've been saying about this Mercedes, decent start to the season for George Russell. Kind of has to be, doesn't it?
It's funny because George just seems to be okay with that crappy car. He still, it's better than where he was.
We have to think where he came from here, Gager, right?
Yeah. So this thing is a rocket ship compared to what he was. You haven't seen the Alpine episodes yet with Gasly and Esteban yet. I won't ruin it for you, but it goes into their like they've known each other since they were little kids, right? But they hate each other. They do not like one another as partners. They go all over the Ottmeyer situation from last year, but now seeing how bad that car is, it's awful. I would look for something to really blow up at Alpine this year. Just because those drivers don't like each other. They seem completely on the wrong page with the car, saying that we don't look to be competitive till, after the summer break. These guys are going to lose their marbles because both of them are very competitive guys. Like they showing some of the old footage of these two battling against one another is even they went and did some karting. And we're like running each other off the road. So I'd look for fireworks with these two because it's just, that after losing and not being competitive for so long,
how do you
I
take
feel
a step
bad for
back
Alpine.
when you're already that far back? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, no, just
that's tough.
completely wrong direction with the car, and it's unfortunate because those two are good drivers. I was you'd like to see them more battling for points rather than hoping that the car gets through the race.
Gauge your early season thoughts on RB team, Sonoda and Danny Rick.
Man, that's the biggest disappointment for one. Yuki looks good. Yuki looks quick. He's but Daniel Ricciardo, I don't know. I have a soft spot for this guy, and I want him to somehow. I want him to really succeed and do well and battle at the front. But his teammates beating him. Dusty, his teammate is Yuki Tsunoda is consistently ahead of Danny Rick. I know that they had the team orders in Bahrain for the switching of positions, but you got to say that this is a huge disappointment. Now, next weekend or 2 weekends from now is a huge weekend for Ricciardo, going back to Australia, hopefully getting things back on track. If Ricciardo doesn't finish in the points soon here, he's going to be thrown to the side and not only lose his seat with RB Cash App, but I don't think. We'll see if Christian Horner's around, but how can you see him actually getting into that second Red Bull seat with these types of performances when you can see that Yuki Tsunoda is outperforming you? And then lurking in the weeds is the Liam Lawson as well, who had a great showing last year when he got into the car when Danny Rick broke his hand. So a lot of pressure on Ricciardo. I hope I'd love to see him get in there and start battling, but man, it's unfortunate. It just looks like the old Danny Rick that we've been used to over the past six years.
You mentioned heading to Australia, not this weekend, but the following weekend. With what you've seen so far this season and what you know about the Australian Grand Prix, are we going to continue to see a lot of the same, or is there a car and a team right now that you think might be able to take advantage of things down under?
I think on the street circuits, the Aston Martin car has a little bit of an advantage here. You look to last year with what Fernando was able to do, low deg track, so don't have to worry about eating up the tires too much. But what do I think? I think we'll still see the usual suspects. Obviously, Red Bull, Max zooming ahead. But for places on the podium, I think we're going to see either Ferrari and one part of Aston Martin up there challenging for that third spot. That's what probably is what we're looking for. You can figure out who I'm talking
about. Let's get to a fantasy update. Every time, the only time Cass ever really texts us is when he's bragging about fantasy, F1 fantasy. But Gager, how's it been for you so far this year? You mentioned that there's some changes this year compared to last year. Starting to settle in or what?
Yeah, it was the start of the season was a little rough. I won't lie. It didn't go well for me. But if we look at this year, it's amazing. I got to say that Matt Cassian finishes first on the podium in Saudi this weekend.
Disgusting.
Second was DRS for life, which that's me. But we got a podium finish, and Cass's second car. His Checo car got third. And then I came in with fourth place too. So
are you guys the only two guys who know what's going on right now? Like, how's that happen? You guys finished 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Cass changes. I made some subtle adjustments to mine to have a good weekend.
Things up before Australia.
Matt Iwanek has moved up after a surprising Seabass, Hernan Salas was up there at the beginning.
I didn't even know Hernan's in the league.
Yeah. Hernan, we had a discussion. We had a late night phone call and watched the third period of the Columbus Blue Jackets game, and I helped him just design his team a little bit. So he had a little. He's like my Cash App team. Yeah, just a bit of help.
It's like my Cash App team. Ooh, that stings. That stings. Well, I have upgrades coming prior to Australia, Gager. I will.
Oh yeah.
I will say that. Mind you, you said I got Ollie Behrman in place of Carlos Sainz, right? So that must have done.
Yeah.
something.
No, you. I think you just dropped out of the
points?
top 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
So
get back on track.
Lucas
Get back on track. I gotta go
Holt
in.
is.
Can we go in and see like what Cass does? Can I see his full strategy and stuff, or how's that work?
Oh, you can see his car, what he has, but he could change it up to you. Like if he doesn't change it, that will be his lineup. But if he does change it, you won't see it until the teams have been locked, right? So Cass had an interesting strategy this year. He like I said, being the constructors champion, he went with the best cars he thought would be the best cars going forward, right? So, and most of his points are coming from his constructors with his two cars.
All right, well, that's something to dive into as we continue to move forward with the Pit Stop Pals this season. That is going to do it. You have anything else on the checklist there, Gager? Did we hit everything?
Well, I mean, we got Christian Horner sitting there.
Yeah, kind of ties into the Max thing, obviously.
I mean, I don't know. We said it before. I just don't see Max leaving, even if Christian Horner is let go or stays. I don't think that's going to influence Max too much.
Do you think Horner's gobbled up immediately if they let him go?
I don't think so, Dusty. It doesn't look good on the team. I think there would be a year hiatus before someone hired him on as their team principal. I think there would just be a little bit of a break. From all accounts, it seemed like from what he says and what's coming out of Red Bull management, they want to move past everything. But there's still rumblings of something happening and them losing their top guy. Toto Wolff keeps throwing out, I would love to have Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
It would be amazing to have Max at Mercedes and all these little subtle things. And I think it was Owanek who said F1 drivers are the most confident people on the planet. And I think to the point where they some of them really think that they're beyond the car at certain points. If you ask Max Verstappen, he probably thinks he can win in most cars. So maybe you
put Max in the Mercedes and Lewis in the Ferrari, and it's on. And it's on again.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of time for that next year, man. That would be great.
Yeah, because Max is more aggressive than any other driver, I think, going for the apex, right? He's not giving an inch. And it would be nice to see him and Lewis hitting turn one side by side again a few times.
In the other cars, like that would just, I can't wait. That'd be quite the scene, man. I would absolutely love that. All right, that's going to do it for the Pit Stop Pals Season 3, Episode 2. Tell your F1 friends that we got this for you, F1 fans, by F1 fans, for F1 fans, as we like to say. Gager, we will talk to you again as they head down under.
Awesome. Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
The two championship contenders giving it everything.
No, Mikey. No, Mikey.
It's lights out.
No, Mikey.
And away we go.